How to lift a motorcycle using homemade tools. In this brief video log, I will show you that it is cheap and it is good for changing motorcycle tires, sprockets, swing arms, forks, and suspension. It's very flexible, easy to build and store and put away. There's no need for expensive motorcycle lifts or jacks. Any bike can be raised via the frame tubes on the bottom or the swing arm area or relay. It's useful for bikes that have uneven bottoms or bottom frame tubes, such as the Honda Shadow VLX. It's great for, like I said, Honda Shadow and motorcycles alike. It can be used anywhere: garage, parking lot. You could put a tarp over the bike if you're not done and you're doing it in a parking lot. And it's just a very useful, cheap, homemade technique that I'm using, and I would like to share that with others, especially for beginners, as it can be daunting. Here's a picture of the bike that is lifted. It's up in the air, and as you see in the bottom, it has two lift stands, and it's basically being lifted upon a plywood by 4 feet by 8 feet, and using straps I am able to basically just strap it down, and that way I can work on the tires. Here's a video to show you that this is how you can do it. It's really cheap. You all you need to do is buy a 4 feet by 8 feet piece of plywood painted white, and get some rings, some tie-down rings here for them. You could get that for about less than $10 in Home Depot. There's the straps. I get 4 of those tie-down straps. You can hold about 1,000 pounds with each, and they're very flexible. You could you can use a strap, basically just expand it. The plywood I painted white in order to avoid oil from staining it and damaging it. That way you could easily clean the oil away or any other fluids. You'll also need a basic car, a 2-ton car jack, and some lift stands. You can get those at auto discount stores for about $15, both of them. You're gonna use the lift stand underneath the bike. Here I'm going to be using it under the frame. Under the frame on the bottom of the bike. Okay, here as you can see, I lifted the bike off the ground. The back tire is lifted from the ground about 1 inch. The jack, I used that on the side of the bike, and you can use it either on the frame or the swing arm. The lift stand I'm going to put directly underneath the frame. Make sure you don't catch anything like the oil filter or the cooling reservoir. Make sure that you don't catch that as you're inserting this and on there. The bike is going to basically stand on top of these when we're done. Here on the other side, I'm putting the kickstand about 2 inches or less of on a small concrete slab. You could also use a piece of wood just to make the bike a little more straight, so it's easier to lift. Okay, so as you can see, I already put the lift stands on the underneath under the frame, and now the back of the bike is completely lifted about 10 inches or so. One of the stands is a little higher than the other because on the Shadow VLX VT600, the frame on the right side is lower than on the left side, so the frame is uneven on the bottom. So if you were to just get a regular lift, you wouldn't be able to. The bike will be sideways. So as you can see here, it's easy to swing the bike back and forth, the back part or the front part. So the logic is to be able to strap the bike down once you have it up on lifts, and to be able to work on the front tire, the back tire, or both at the same time. And like I said, this is a very cheap alternative. The parts are very cheap to get. Nothing fancy. So here I have the bike strapped down so that the back tire is being sustained by the straps. It really doesn't take that much force. And the front tire is up in the air. That way I can just start working on it and change it or do whatever I need change of forks as well. The plywood does bend a little bit, but it's not that much. As you can see on the bottom, it's a little bit curved where the sides are bent up a little, but it really doesn't cause any problems. And it's quite, you see, it's quite sturdy. The weight of the bike itself is holding the plywood down. It's actually kind of flexible because you could flex the bike back and forth. We just advise to be careful when you're working on the bike at any time. Use your logic and don't push on it where you know it's gonna fall. Here I have some straps. I put them on the handlebar to be able to straighten out the front tire, and so it will not move on me as I'm removing it from the forks. So I put the straps on the handlebar and I tie them up to the back rings, tie down rings. And as you can see, I'm going to demonstrate that it's easier to work on the steering that way. You could, and to remove the tire and all that. It's quite sturdy. It's not completely sturdy, but it helps a great deal. Here, as you can see, I put the bike up both tires, and I took them out, both of them, to be able to get new tires. So as you can see, this is very doable, and I highly recommend to do this if you want to go cheap and don't want to spend too much money and you want to be able to do it by yourself. Okay, ride safe.